Wet'suwet'en Chief Adam Gagnon is Canada's first prisoner of conscience. It's a critical designation from Amnesty International, which is calling for his immediate and unconditional release. Gagnon's arrest came after he attempted to block the construction of the Coastal GasLink pipeline in BC through unceded Wet'suwet'en land. That was back in 2021. Joining us this morning is David Metzinier. He's the Director of Policy, Advocacy and Research for Amnesty International Canada. Welcome to Your Morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Anne-Marie. It's a pleasure to be here.
This is a new designation for a lot of people. Can you explain for us, first of all, what is a prisoner of conscience?
Absolutely. A prisoner of conscience is amnesty designation for someone who has been imprisoned or physically restricted, as in the case of the chief here, simply for holding and promoting their beliefs. It could be religious, political, without doing so through violence or hate speech. It could be for their identity, like sexual orientation, religious identity, racial identity, and so on, without promoting violence or the use of violence or hate speech. That's what prisoner of conscience means.
Chief Kenong was arrested, charged, and convicted after he and his supporters took over heavy equipment that were involved in the pipeline project, and then they disabled it. And this was after a BC Supreme Court judge issued an injunction that barred protesters from attempting to block the work. What made his arrest fit the definition that you just provided, if he did, in fact, break the law in BC?
Absolutely. It's very important for the public to understand that that injunction that they disobeyed, that injunction itself violated international law that protects political rights, civil rights, and economic, social, and cultural rights. So what they have done was actually in compliance with international law, which protects the exercise of these rights. So in our view, he fits perfectly the designation of prisoner of conscience, because all of their rights that they were defending are internationally protected, and the injunction itself was a violation of those rights.
I'm curious what this says about Canada's overall reputation in the world if Amnesty International has said that we have a designated prisoner of conscience here.
Absolutely. The global perception of Canada is that it's a first world country, a welfare state where the rule of law abides and everybody's happy. But when you take a closer look, you see that for Indigenous peoples in particular, the state of Canada actually fails them abysmally. And we want to burst that perception and expose Canada for what it is in terms of its behavior in relation to Indigenous people. So we're hoping that with this pressure, all the eyes of the global movement of human rights will look at Canada and see the state of Canada for what it is and change course and release the chief immediately and unconditionally and drop all the charges against the other Wet'suwet'en land defenders that are in the same situation.
The BC Prosecution Service, which is overseeing this case, is refusing to comment. They say Chief Gagnon filed an appeal of his conviction. But how will this designation from Amnesty translate into pressure on Ottawa or the province to release him?
The Canadian public must remember that Amnesty International is a movement of over 12 million people all over the world. Those are the people who take human rights personally, and they want to see justice promoted all over the world. That's the kind of attention that Canada is getting, because for a long time, Canada has been viewed as a human rights respecting and promoting state all over the world. And yet the irony is that it's failing Indigenous people right here at home. That's the kind of pressure that we hope that this designation brings to bear upon Canada.
And I understand that having this designation of prisoner of conscience has worked before in having someone released, so we're going to wait and watch this case as well. David, thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.